You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Basketball Wives After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Basketball Wives After Show.
Basketball, we're playing basketball. That's my jam. Basketball. What is up, folks? You are tuning in right now to Basketball Wives on AFTERBUZZ TV, Season 5, Episode 4. And unfortunately, we do not have some of our beautiful co-hosts in the studio with me today. Gabrielle and Rebecca are not going to be joining us, but you do have your spicy girl, Spicy Mari, as your host. And I will be doing an amazing recap, as usual, of Basketball Wives. And in conclusion to last week's episode of Basketball Wives, we're just recapping, once again, the relationship between Chad and Evelyn. And it's been pretty deep, I feel like. As I mentioned last week and the week before that, we are just getting an amazing recap of what Evelyn is going through with her relationship with Chad and some of the emotional side that she's been trying to battle with, and as well as keeping her face and image in construct. And Dr. Deborah Nixon has assisted on Basketball Wives as the therapist that has helped with, I feel like, the breakdown. And I thought that this was a great way to get Evelyn to be able to tell her side of the story as opposed to just talking to the Basketball Wives about it. Once again, we're seeing that Evelyn is torn and that she's not quite sure if she wants to stay with Ocho. She wants to leave. She left, but she's still considering going back. And I like the questions that Dr. Nixon are asking. And if you watch the episode, she's making Evelyn come to the realization that ultimately, at the end of the day, Evelyn still wants to be with Ocho. And she's getting a lot of backlash from the media about playing with the possibility. And one of the things that I want to just hurry up and point out right away was the spicy quote that Evelyn said. She said that her and Ocho had a crazy connection. It wasn't love, it wasn't sex, it was just friendship. And if any of you women have been in relationships, or men, you've been in relationships, you guys know that friendship is the key element to any healthy relationship. But unfortunately, Evelyn in this situation has lost her best friend in addition to her lover. And this has been a really tumultuous relationship for her, and a battle that Basketball Wives is giving us an inside peek of their relationship. And Dr. Nixon, like I said, has helped us through this. But what we also see is the behind the scenes of Evelyn really trying to just come to terms with the relationship being over. We get to take a trip with her to the lawyer's office, and we get to find out via her conversation with the lawyer that although she was painted as a gold digger, and that there has been a lot of backlash from Ocho as far as Twitter is concerned with things that he's implied or that his fans have implied about him and Evelyn's relationship, Evelyn is defending herself and saying, although people think that I'm money hungry and that I got with him just for my money, I actually did sign a prenup, and I asked him to sign it. He didn't want to sign it. And I thought that that was great that she made it clear to us viewers at home, because, you know, we do see a beautiful woman, trophy wife, you know, gets with a football player, and she let us know the inside tip. Hey, I got my own money. I want to protect my daughter. I signed a prenup. He didn't even want to. And unfortunately, her relationship came to an end very quickly, but she did do, you know, the proper means to make sure that her and her daughter were protected. And so I appreciate them letting us know that through the eyes, once again, of someone else other than the other Basketball Wives. But later on, we do get a little bit of a recap from Tasha and Susie, once again, talking about Ocho Cinco and Evelyn's relationship and their opinion on it. And towards the end of the episode, we get to see why Susie is so crazy, vocal about Chad and Evelyn's relationship. And I didn't quite understand. I'm like, why is Susie so in her business? Why is she so opinionated? You know, Susie just goes with the flow. She's usually just like the yes man of the show, or yes woman of the show, if you want to get technical as far as the show's concerned. But we get to find out a very touching side that I'll discuss later as far as Susie's concerned in her relationship with Evelyn. But what I thought was interesting were these little encounters that she keeps having with Tasha. I guess she's befriending Tasha. They're getting a little bit closer. They're working out together, although their workout did not look legit, and it did not look like it was constructed to really burn some calories. It gave them an opportunity to gossip about Evelyn's relationship. And hopefully, you know, Tasha and Susie are getting a little bit closer by being able to link up now that Susie's kind of cleared the air and let her know that, hey, you know I disrespected you, but it was really Tammy's idea. But then Susie goes and she talks to Tammy about her conversation with Tasha. And Tammy wanted to kind of, I think, pick and find out whether Susie had really, divulged private information behind the scenes of the gossiping that they were doing about Tasha. And Susie denied it. Susie said, no, you weren't really a topic, when in actuality, she did reveal to Tasha that it was Tammy's idea to ask about her relationship with her husband. And so Tasha and Tammy wind up meeting so that Tammy can kind of let her know, hey, this is where I was coming from. This is why I did my research on you. I wanted some ammunition. I didn't know what you were going to come with. But just the fact that Tammy felt like she needed to be guarded like that, and that she felt like she needed to have some ammo by Googling and, TMZing information on Tasha, lets you know that Tammy's maturity level, or that Tammy not going into situations anymore with a negative opinion or seeking, confrontation, is not dead. And Tammy's trying to make it seem as if she's changed and that she's a bigger person now and that she's growing. But at the same time, the fact that she even felt like she needed to do that, well, we got the inside tip from Tammy that although she did do that, she told Susie not to discuss it at the dinner table. And that's what we didn't know. So if that is the case, and Tammy really did say, hey, let's not talk about it at the dinner table after all with Tasha, then I want to apologize to Tammy. Spicy Marty is apologizing to Tammy, because I definitely thought that Tammy was trying to stir up some drama this season with Tasha and was feeling, a little bit maybe threatened or had her guard up already. And so I can, humble myself and say that I was mistaken if that is the case. And she really did tell Susie to not talk about her relationship with Tasha. Then that is actual growing right there, because the old Tammy would have. Although we see other accounts of Tammy starting up some drama when she's going back and forth to Evelyn, and originally she went to Shaunie and wanted to talk about with her why each person needed to warn Tasha about her. It's for this very reason, because Tammy, although she is trying to grow as a person, she still is making petty drama out of nothing. And so in her conversation with Tasha, she discussed, hey, I don't know why, we all can't just get along, as Black women. Tasha says that, we're very catty and we're not, able to be copacetic. And Tammy's agreeing with this. Tammy's saying, hey, if you got an issue, just come to me. But then she does not do that. She does not take her own advice when she's saying, just come to me if you have an issue. Instead of her, squashing the beef with Shaunie, she goes to Evelyn and tells Evelyn what she discussed with Tasha and what she discussed with Shaunie. And I just feel like it's a lot of, on Basketball Wives, he say, she say. We're constantly watching on every single episode people talking behind each other's backs and then going to the source and then telling them that they said one thing and that they should do one thing and how they should handle them, but then going to somebody else and discussing it with them before they just in their own issues. And Evelyn's guilty of the same thing. Evelyn's going to Shaunie and saying, hey, Tasha saying this, Tammy saying this. She's threatening that if things get out of hand, she might possibly punch you in the face. Although I told her not to and to handle things maturely, I don't really know why she has to handle situations like that. I mean, that in itself is starting up drama too. And one thing that I mentioned last episode that we're getting is more of Shaunie. I like us getting more of Shaunie. I appreciate this because the previous seasons, I didn't know who Shaunie was. So I like that Shaunie's stepping up. But although Shaunie is saying, oh, you're not going to get me started in any drama, if something goes down with Tammy, you know, I'm going to defend myself if I have to. There will be none of that. She's still saying that if she got to fight, she has to fight. And so either you're going to make a choice to not handle things aggressively and physically, or you're going to just, you know, refrain from the situation and not be in somebody's presence. But regardless, I don't care how many times Tammy's saying that she's growing. She's not showing us that when she's going behind, you know, to Evelyn and to Tasha and talking about her situation with Shaunie, and then making physical threats as well. And so, granted, I appreciate that she told Susie to back down from Tasha, but she's still doing like these little immature things. And one thing that I keep saying that I appreciate about the show too is them giving us an emotional side of Evelyn and emotional side of Tammy, because both of these two people have been painted as bullies. And so when we do get these heartfelt moments from Tammy, it's in situations such as with her mom. We get to see Tammy take her mom to Voda Spa, which, shout out to Voda Spa, I actually really, really love. If you guys ever have an opportunity in Los Angeles to go to Voda Spa, it is amazing. But one thing is for sure is that Tammy is giving her mom a day of rest and relaxation, but it wasn't really relaxing. She talks about, one, where her mom's going to live, if she's going to do a hospice or not. I kind of don't know whether to be sensitive to Tammy or to her mom in this situation, because Tammy's mom is suffering from cancer, from liver cancer. And she's telling her mom, like, hey, I just want to make sure, you know, if you're not going to do hospice, you're not going to be in the house with me. I'm really shocked that she is not going to take care of her mom. And I understand not wanting her daughters to see this. But at the same time, I wish they would have revealed to us who is going to take care of her mom, because her mom is going to be all by herself if Tammy doesn't take care of her. And I just felt like Tammy was kind of just trying to make it clear, like, hey, I don't want you in the house, and kind of pushing her out in her time of need and sickness. And whether they meant to paint it like that to us or not, and whether I misinterpreted it, because this is not the thoughts of AfterBuzz, this is the thoughts of Spicy Mari, I would really like to know who's going to take care of Tammy's mom. And I do think that it was very sweet that Tammy told her mom, hey, we're going to do a photo shoot in your honor so that we can remember you by. And the way that Tammy's mom handled it was I felt like very big of her. She was pretty much saying, although I don't like photos, let's do it, because in all actuality, I am going to pass away, and that's the truth of the matter. And I felt like that's one thing that, you know, we see a lot of is Tammy and her mom's similarities. But in this situation, Tammy's mom was a realist, and she wasn't offended. She didn't handle anything that Tammy said in a wrong manner. She handled it very calm and collected, which is something that we don't oftentimes get from Tammy. And although I think it was an insensitive conversation as far as a hospice is concerned, because I have, as a child, my mom took care of my grandfather, and he was in the house and he was ill, but I wouldn't have wanted my grandfather to be anywhere else but in our home. So I'm a little just confused about that insensitivity with Tammy. So I would like next episode for them to address who is going to take care of Tammy's mom. But what we did get to the bottom of is why Tammy did not attend Evelyn's PETA event. And it was to take care of her mom, she said. And so if her mom's health did take a turn for the worse in the hospital and Tammy couldn't make Evelyn's PETA event, now her mom is better and Tammy can now go to coffee and drinks for sangria with Susie. I guess maybe her mom's health is going up and down like a roller coaster. I don't know. But I don't know if I believe Tammy as far as why she didn't come to Evelyn's event. I do think that I do recognize and acknowledge the fact that her mother is sick, but her mom's still not well. I mean, she says she's feeling a little bit better, but she's able enough to, you know, take care of herself. And I don't know if Tammy really didn't go out of pure, like, you know, care for her mom, or because she just didn't want to be in that environment in the mix with the basketball wives. But nonetheless, you know, we have to take Tammy's word for it. And, you know, I'm sure later on it'll come up when, as you see on the next episode, drama at the table. But what I do want to talk about, which is a very serious issue, once again, is how the episodes have been very tailored to talking about Ocho Cinco and Evelyn. And on this particular episode, we get to finally have revealed to us why Susie is so concerned with Evelyn going back to Ocho. We see her talking about it with Shaunie. We see her talking about it with Tasha. We see her talking about it with Tami. And now she's actually taking Evelyn for a walk at the beach and talking about it with her and just saying, hey, I want to make sure that you're not going to go back with him because I too have been in an abusive relationship. And this entire time, I'm guilty of it. I've talked about the way that Susie looks and I've talked about the way that Susie talks. Just like Evelyn admitted that she's done it too, we finally have found out that Susie was in an abusive relationship and that her jaw was broken and that she wasn't done communicating with her boo until she was in the emergency room. And I appreciate that being revealed to us because that makes us way more compassionate and sensitive to Susie's situation. And now we're connecting the dots and we're seeing that Susie's not just being nosy to be nosy about Evelyn's relationship. Susie actually is a victim of battery and, domestic violence. And I just really, my heart goes out to her, but my heart also goes out to Evelyn because it's so very obvious and clear that Evelyn wants to stay with Ocho and that she does really love this person. And she admitted this episode that the tabloids are making it seem as if they're getting back together. And she knows that she has a role to play as far as a heroic standpoint is and being a role model and showing that you can be triumphant from domestic violence and not go back to the person who abused you. And so knowing this role, it's making her a little bit more responsible for the choices that she makes. But she also let us know, the reason that they got this photo of her holding hands with Ocho Cinco is because she sees him in court. They have a moment where they connect, like she said, they have this connection and they giggle, they laugh, they lock eyes. And later on, because, it wasn't a restraining order, it was, they couldn't be in contact, has been released. She feels like now she wants us to be supportive and go to fan appreciation dinner where she takes his daughter and, her being a mother, she probably does feel like she has a responsibility to his children as well, to spend time with them and still let them know that the love was genuine, which I completely understand. So she picks up Ocho's daughter and takes her to this dinner. And when she walks in, it's prayer time. And that's why she was holding Ocho Cinco's hands. But of course, when the tabloids get their hands on the picture, it looks like Evelyn's going back to him. And one thing that she made clear on this episode was that she is not going back. And that made Susie feel a little bit better, but Susie's not really convinced. And quite frankly, neither am I. I would not be surprised if we find out that 5-6 months from now, Evelyn takes Ocho back because she really does love him. And she admitted she wanted to be married and she wanted to be married to him. And so oftentimes, people grow, people change. She was saying that she's hoping that he gets help. But in the case that he hasn't, she's trying to be safe. But I can see this season setting us up to kind of mold it so that we are more forgiving and understanding if she does decide to go back to him. Because as we saw before with Rihanna and the Oprah Winfrey episode that she did the special on when Rihanna talked about her physical abuse from Chris, it was an emotional moment and we felt sympathetic to not only Rihanna but also to Chris Brown. And so I think that they're doing the same thing with Basketball Wives. They're trying to make us sympathetic to Evelyn's situation and trying to be more understanding of her love for Ocho, which will make us a little bit softer if she decides later on in turn to go back to him. But what we will definitely be making sure is to not only tune in to find out if this happens, but also to support AFTERBUZZ TV. And how do we do that? How do we do that? By not just tuning in. Well, we do that by showing our love and appreciation as fans of the show by supporting Adventures of Serial Buddies, which is a awesome film. It's kind of like Dexter meets Napoleon Dynamite, and it's Dumb and Dumber a little bit mixed in there as far as the comedy is concerned. And it's super crazy funny, and it's a great date movie, whether you're with the family, whether you're with the friends, whether you just want something to tune into because nothing's on cable. It's a great movie to download, and it's created by Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos and Phil Svitek here at AfterBuzz. They all had their hands in it, and it's how we keep the lights on. So for like under $5, you guys can download it and have a fantabulous movie night at home, in addition to making sure that you tune in here to the AfterBuzz episode recaps of Basketball Wives. So now you have two great things to tune into. Not only Adventures of Serial Buddies, which you can get at adventuresofserialbuddies.com, but also Basketball Wives. So support. You guys know that I am, and Spicy would appreciate it if you all did too. So download as much and as frequently as possible and give it as a gift, even if you have to. Say someone's birthday or Christmas is coming up and you're trying to do early gifts. I don't know, but just buy it. It's a good movie. And so anyway, speaking of movies, I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually see Evelyn's acting career starting off from the publicity that she's getting from Basketball Wives this season. I feel like this entire season is starting to be, tailored around Evelyn. And so I wouldn't be surprised if her acting career, or maybe even hosting career, I can see Evelyn maybe getting a talk show based on what she's going through with Ocho. We didn't get to see her daughter this episode, but one thing we did do is get to hear Evelyn reiterate like how important family is. And then the other Basketball Wives also admitted that family is very important to Evelyn. So I don't know if they're setting us up for maybe a possible, talk show from Evelyn, but we've seen it done before for Housewives. You never know. One of the Basketball Wives might get their own as well. This definitely wasn't the most juiciest of episodes. We didn't get too much drama, but what we did do was get a little bit more of the feisty side of Tasha. We got to hear her conversation with Tami, and I like the fact that she jumped bad with Tami. Tami admitted to Tasha that, hey, if you don't talk to me about, issues that you have, I am not afraid to slap a bitch. And Tasha admitted, well, I will too. And so although we didn't get to hear much from Tasha this episode about her personal life or what she's going through, and they don't do a lot of confessionals for Tasha, I like that we got to see a feistier side of her and a feistier side of Shaunie. So those would probably have to be two spicy moments, when Shaunie says she's going to jump bad with somebody and when Tasha said that she's going to jump bad with somebody. Mind you, both of these are people's mamas, but it was pretty spicy when, women stand up for themselves, and they're not going to get punked on this show. And although we aren't condoning or, violence, we are definitely seeing, some stronger women on the show and characters stand up for themselves. And it's not just Tami and Evelyn being the bullies this time. But if you fast forward and you look at the previews, because there wasn't a lot going on this episode, what looks like it's going to be pretty interesting is the fight that these women are going to get into. Because Evelyn has this bright idea that everybody should squash the beef before it goes too far. But behind closed doors, she's clowning on Tammy's jumpsuit. I wanted to talk about this jumpsuit because I did think that it was an interesting choice. And I'm not into fashion, y'all. Spicy Mighty has a stylist. Asia Franks is my stylist. I don't know anything about fashion, but I know when I'm stepping out, if Asia styles me, I make sure that I'm looking like on point. But if I style myself, I'm in trouble. Well, Tami too is in trouble when she styles herself, because this green jumpsuit is not only outdated, but it was an Adidas green jumpsuit that she wore from head to toe. We saw last episode, Evelyn and Shaunie clown Tami and her nuances or her characteristics or her isms and her mannerisms. And in this episode, Tami gets clowned again by Evelyn with what she had on. Green jumpsuit, Adidas, in the middle of summertime in Los Angeles is not the business. And she was definitely in LA at Evelyn's house when she came in this green jumpsuit. It was like a flashback from from the hip hop era, and I don't know what Evelyn was doing when she was wearing this, or if she was trying to promote someone's clothing or something. I don't know what she was doing, but it just wasn't stylish at all. So it's funny to see Evelyn, who's Tammy's friend, clowning on her, but at the same time, y'all are supposed to be homies. Like, why didn't you tell Evelyn, like, girl, what the heck you have on? Why did she go and say that to Shaunie? And so everybody's doing a little bit of talking behind each other's back. But what's going to happen, and this is my AfterBuzz prediction. So I guess we could go into predictions. I told y'all this is going to be a quick episode.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
We see that a fight is going to pop off. Two people who have always had the strongest personalities on the show are going to go at it with each other. And in the preview for the next episode, we see that Tami pops off for whatever reason at Evelyn. Someone calls someone a bitch. We don't know who it is. I don't know if Evelyn starts it or if Tami starts it, but I think it's going to be revealed that this whole, it could go both ways. It could either go real good or real bad thing. It's just getting blown up out of proportion. And I don't know if Shaunie starts it off. More than likely she doesn't, because Shaunie is one of the more chill basketball wives. But someone starts it off and Evelyn winds up getting a little, turned up, and Tami just looks like she's about to just rip another hole in her. And I feel like based on what the preview was showing us is that Evelyn remains and keeps composure, and Tami gets a little bit turned up. And once again, her bully side comes out. And this growth that I've been talking about that Tami has been showing us this entire episode is all going to go down the drain. And I'm going to have to retract everything that I've said, because Tami is going to show herself once again to have not grown and to be this feisty, crazy, turned up woman. And there's been several occasions on this episode that she made threats, not just to Shaunie, but also to, Tasha, saying that she'll slap a bitch if she has to. And she's popped a bitch a few times. Not my words, those are hers. But for her to openly admit this and for you to throw it out there is kind of a forewarning as well that anybody who messes with Tami is going to get dealt with. And so I predict that next episode, we are going to see some fighting. I think that there is going to be some fighting on this episode, and someone's going to get hurt, hit, lumped up upside the head, and that a fight is going to have to be broken up. And I would love to see Shaunie have not physical contact with Tami, but possibly use her executive producing power and throw it in her face that she is the reason that she's on the show, and maybe have security deal with Tami as opposed to Shaunie having to get physical, because at the end of the day, Shaunie is a mom, and I don't want to see any of these mamas tearing each other apart. But finally, and this is a secret of mine, finally, I'm excited about some drama being on the show, because this is what I've been waiting for. These ladies have been trying to be polite and kind and act like they are growing, but at the end of the day, you resort back to your true nature. And I think that that's what we're going to see from Tami, is something popping off and Tami not taking any BS. And I think that Tasha's going to make a decision for herself to not fool with Tami, because Tami takes it so personal that everybody tried to forewarn Tasha about her. And I don't think that it was intentional to start drama. I think that it was because either you love Tami or you hate her, and Tami can easily scare people off. And it was them being friends to Tasha to help her understand how to deal with Tami, not so much to create problems between her and Tami's relationship. And I think Tasha will come to terms with it on her own, whether she wants to fool with Tami or not. So that's my AfterBuzz prediction. We're going to see some drama next episode.
We interrupt this program for you.
But if you guys want to chime in on the conversation, you can tweet at me at spicy_Madi. You can play with my Twitter day or night, or you can stroke my Instagram. But I did a quick little wrap-up show for y'all because, once again, this episode was more of a recap and of last week's episode. But I think that next week we'll start to dive into some juicier issues. And so you guys play with my Twitter, stroke my Instagram, spicy_Madi, or go to thespicylife.com. And you can always tweet at us at AfterBuzz TV. Download, let us know what you guys think of the show, anything that you want us to cover. Let us know what you guys think as fans, because I'm going to always give my spicy opinion. And there you guys have it. You have been spiced on AfterBuzz TV for Basketball Wives.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.